Jesus more.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. Today's gospel is, I think, is something that every Christian should always have in mind. This passage from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, verse 28, is something that we should put on our foreheads, we should put in our houses, we should put in a place where we could see all the time, because this is exactly what all of us go through. We have burdens, we have yokes that we carry every day of our lives. And at times, the difficulty is how to surrender those yokes to Jesus, those burdens to Jesus, just like Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest." It's very easy to say, but it's the most difficult thing to do, because we always want to hold on to. We always feel we can have a better way of dealing with our yokes, of dealing with our problems, of dealing with our burdens. So we hear Jesus talking about yokes today, and he talks about burdens. Are these things the same or different? I think slightly they are different in a way. Yokes can be placed on us by ourselves, can be placed by the devil, or it can be placed by others. Yokes are more stronger than burdens. Burdens we experience every day. Everybody has a burden. A burden in your family, maybe your children need to go to school, you have to raise school fees for them. The burden of feeding a family. We have burdens all the time. We have a burden of how am I going to get through the day, and the burdens that we experience every day. Our financial difficulties, the burdens of sickness, the pain that I have or something. So these are burdens. Everybody has a burden that he carries. But yokes are deeper, okay? Because yokes comes from us, from the devil, or from others. The yoke of sin, for instance, is far deeper than a burden. So if you're suffering with an addiction, that is a yoke upon yourself. So if you're suffering from unforgiveness, this is one of the strongest yokes that we place on ourselves, that we don't want to forgive. That becomes a yoke. And what is a yoke? A yoke, like I explained one time here, like for a carabao, or a yoke that is placed on the back of a carabao, it exerts a lot of pressure on that animal, so it creates wounds. The book of Leviticus would say that it makes us not to walk erect. We are not able to walk erect. It is a symbol of slavery. When we have yokes upon our lives, then we are enslaved to those yokes. So, for instance, unforgiveness is one of the greatest yokes that many people suffer from today. And once we say we do not want to forgive, automatically we are placing a yoke upon our lives. We are enslaved to that yoke. We are never going to be free. We are never going to get a breakthrough unless we turn that over, unless we say we are ready to forgive. The yoke that is placed on us by the devil is the yoke of guilt. When the devil tells you you cannot make it, and then puts this big guilt on you that you feel there is no way out. And it makes us to forget about God's love and God's mercy. That is the yoke that is placed on us by the devil. The devil can also put an extraordinary yoke of possession, or possessing people, oppressing people. That becomes a yoke also upon our lives. And there can be yokes also that are placed on us by people. When we begin to depend on what people are saying, and people begin to control us, and people begin to determine how we behave, then that is a yoke that is also placed on us by others or other circumstances. And therefore, Jesus tells us, "Come to me with your yokes and your burdens." He does not only say, "Come to me with your burdens." He says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest." So to surrender to him. And he says that take away the yoke that is placed on you by yourself, by the devil, and by others, by taking on my yoke. Okay? He says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest." And he says, "Shoulder my yoke." And what is the yoke of God? The yoke of God is the relationship we have with him. the covenant relationship we have with Him, when we begin to rely on the Word of God, even just like the word that we hear today, are we ready to trust this Word of God that it says today, that you come and surrender everything to me, your yokes and your burdens, all that you are going through? If only you can say, now I do not want to think about it, I do not even want to deal about it, I want to surrender that to God. And in fact, when we learn to surrender, if we can only surrender, I struggle with that myself, because at times I still want to be in control. I still want to, I want to give to God, but I will try to deal with it myself at some point. So it's easy to say we surrender to God, but do we really surrender? And if only we can surrender, God can do great things in our lives. The story that comes to mind is the story of Gideon. The story with Gideon fighting with the army of the Midianites. And the Midianites, they were described as, the army of the Midianites was like locust. If locust falls on this place, I don't know if you have ever had that kind of scene here in the Philippines, but I remember once in Kenya it happened. There was a fall of locusts. If locust falls here in 10 minutes, there will be nothing green. It will eat everything. And always what follows that fall of locust is going to be famine, because nothing is going to grow. They come in swarms of millions. So the army of the Midianites was described as locusts. There were so many. And there was Joshua with the Israelites, and they had an army of 32,000. And God approached Joshua when Joshua cried out to him, how are we going to deal with this? And God said to him, your army is too much. The army of Joshua had an army of 32,000, and God said it's too much compared to the swarm of millions of armies of the Midianites. And God said it's too much. Now, and he said to Joshua, tell those who are afraid to go home. The rest of the army who feel that they are not able to do that, let them go home. And he said that, and 10,000 of them left. So they were left with 22,000. And God said to Joshua, that is too much. That is still too much. And he said to him, go with the rest of them and let them drink water from the stream. And those who are going to drink water like the dog licking with their tongue, they are going to stay. And those who drink water, to carry the water to their mouth, they can go home. And in the end, only 300 were left. And God said, this is what I need. So that you will not depend on yourself. You would know that I am in charge here. If only you can surrender to me. And God said, all you need to do is to surround the camp of these Midianites and just sing praises to me. Close your eyes so that you don't have to see anything that happens, so that you don't get tempted. Just close your eyes and sing praises to me. In fact, what God was saying, you need to surrender to me. Surrender what you feel has become impossible to me. And Joshua did that. And the moment they started singing to God, God fought their battles. By the time they opened their eyes, their enemies were lying right in front of them. And that's why Jesus, when God said to the people of Israel, when they just crossed, before they crossed the Red Sea, he said, the Egyptians you see today, you will see them no more. Yours is only to watch, and you see their downfall. If only you can be still, you would know that I am God. And God promises us that if only we can trust Him, if only we can entrust all our burdens, our yokes, our difficulties, our challenges, the impossible situations in which we find ourselves, our addictions, if only we can surrender to Him and not try to work it out ourselves. The problem is that when we try to work it out ourselves, then God says, okay, since He wants to do it, I let Him do it. And of course, we always fail. But if only we can surrender to God, then He can do that which we cannot do by our own power. Let us therefore ask God during this Eucharistic celebration for the grace to be able to surrender totally and completely to God with faith that even though we do not understand, we will still trust Him.
Kiss us, mother, kiss your children. Bring God's blessings from above. With your mantle blue enfold us in your gentle holy love. See the darkness dissipating, hear the trumpet echoing, Satan's rage